What basic skill or habit do most people assume comes naturally and as a result are bad at it? A friend of mine from India said he almost drowned the first time he saw a pool. He assumed since it was full of people that swimming must not be that hard. Lifeguard had to pull him out after he jumped in the deep end. Your friend shouldn't feel bad. I was a lifeguard for 3 years. Most of my saves were unskilled children and Indian men who tried to tackle the deep end. They usually got swim lessons after, and some went on to be good swimmers, but it's a common thought for some when they see athletes swim. Writing. People think all it takes to write a book is sitting down and starting, and in a sense, that's true, but to write a good, readable book takes much more preparation and a lot of self-editing. Frick, tell me about it. Too many people seem to think that all they need to do is come up with a passably linear story, and then they're good. Public speaking. It's not an inborn talent, it's something you have to practice. Knowing what to do with your body, knowing how to modulate your voice, learning how to time your presentation, engaging the audience and being able to speak in a fluid, natural sounding manner takes practice. Weightlifting. It is not just about brute strength, there is actual skill and technique involved so that you don't hurt yourself. Learning a language. We all know it's hard, but some people think it comes naturally to some people and not others, so they give up. Even if you're talented, you have to turn learning it into a part-time job. Being in a relationship marriage. People think it's all, oh, I'll meet this person and we'll fall in love and be together forever and everything will be amazing just like this with zero effort, and who cares if we haven't discussed money or where to live or basic life philosophies. Because we're in love, fast forward 5 years and 2 kids and the initial raging hormone style love is over, and they have nothing. Handling a gun. People think because they've seen it on TV, they know what they are doing. I see too many people even at the range who look dang confident with themselves while holding their pistol in a stupid or careless way. The problem specifically seems to be with adults who never learned firearm safety as children and just bought a gun without any knowledge and never went to an instruction class. I know proper gun safety. I'm still somewhat nervous when holding a firearm. One mistake and someone could die. Swimming. I used to be a swimming teacher lifeguard. You would be amazed how many adults I've had to save cause they thought they would float. An ex was teaching me to swim while we were together. I still can't float or blow bubbles, but I can front rocket from one side of the pool to the other now. When I was in high school, I taught myself to juggle 3 balls because homework was boring. It took me about 2 weeks, practicing for 30-60 minutes a day on and off. Now, I was a huge dork, so I was eager to show off my new skill to classmates, acquaintances, and random people. I had so many interactions that went like this. Can I try? Sure, I would hand them my balls. They would try to juggle and fail and the balls would go everywhere. Then they'd say something like, wow, I guess I can't juggle. You are lucky skilled to be able to. At least 1 of 5 people seemed to have no concept that juggling was a learned skill. It was weird. I would hand them my balls. They would try to juggle and fail and the balls would go everywhere. Graphic design. There are many stories of customers who say, ugh, I could make this in an hour to a graphic designer. Or alternatively, this took you an hour to make, so it's not worth that much, when neither of them realize that A, they cannot make this in an hour, and B, the designer has been training for years to do this, so that they can get it done in a reasonable time span. As a UX designer, design in general, everyone's an expert. There's no such thing as user research. Prototypes are just for show, and testing doesn't matter because we got it right the first time. This is easy and fun. Art. People come up to me and say I can't even draw a stick figure. The only reason I can draw or paint or whatever as well as I can is because I've been doing it for 8 years and every piece I do takes weeks of work. You can't just sit down from day one and draw the Mona Lisa. It takes time and practice and effort. The flip side is when someone sees some amazing yet seemingly random abstract art and says I could have done that. No, you probably couldn't have. Parenting. God bless our parents. They do their best, but overseeing a newborn into becoming a stable, mature, confident member of society who will fulfill their potential must require some serious knowledge and skills. Yes, Some people think bringing a kid into the world and keeping it alive is enough. It's really not. You are creating another human being to put into society. Parenting gives you a chance to make a decent human being. It's not that easy. Breathing. I can't speak for everyone, but I know a lot of people who don't breathe well, which is why controlled breathing is one of the first things you can learn to meditate. Likewise, walking, running, smiling, singing, playing a musical instrument, or performing. You can be naturally decent at them, but you need to practice your range and technique regularly if you want to be a good musician. Tone generally gets better over time when certain parts of your technique improve. People think that improvisation is just noodling and that anyone could play improvised passages since it is made up on the spot. Except, only kind of. The rhythm section provides the tempo and a lot of songs have changing keys over the bars. Yes, anyone could button mash their way through the 32-bar improvised part, but trust me, you'll know when you hear a practiced musician do it. Improv blows my mind. I don't know how people just make it up as they go, and it still sounds amazing. Foreign language. With practice and exposure anybody can learn, but most people give up easily because they aren't naturals. True, the people who already speak multiple languages from childhood are at an advantage, but it isn't a natural one. From my experience, speak 4 languages. The hardest part is trying to speak. Most people are too shy or scared of being made fun of. I was the same for the last language I learned, Dutch. Was able to understand it for years but reluctant to speak it. One day I said, frick it, make fun of my 4th language all you want. Turns out no one does, and it sped up my learning like crazy. Breastfeeding. Most people assume you just point the baby at the breast, and if it doesn't magically work brilliantly first time, you don't have enough milk, can't feed, or starving the baby. Babies have some instinct for it, but not enough to know when they're doing it badly. New mothers, unless they've seen it done and talked about it, read up on it, haven't a clue what a good latch is and aren't necessarily in a good place to fix that or other issues. It can be intensely frustrating for the first few days, which is why it's a good thing that the first few feeds are very small and very frequent enough will go in to keep the baby going while you both figure out what you're doing. Most people who give up at this stage probably could have carried on if they had support instruction to get over the learning phase. But it's a hard thing to learn without the right scenario, a hungry baby and some lactating breasts. There are no simulators for that. I lucked out with breastfeeding, but holy balls did it hurt the first 3 weeks. Thankfully I was aware of that ahead of time and both my girls latched right on, so no problems on their end. I'm currently nursing my daughter right now, lol. Riding a motorcycle. I've ridden most of my life and I ride like I'm about to get hit anytime I'm near a car. Every time a friend tells me they're going to get a bike, I tell them these things. 1. Take a rider's course. In CA the CHP offers one for $250. They supply the bikes and the helmets, and it's a good way to know if you actually want to ride. 2. Buy way less bike than you think you need, and buy used for your first bike. You want a 1000cc sport bike, buy a 500cc at most. You want a 1200cc Harley, start with the 800cc Sportster. Sure, you probably can ride something huge and heavy, but when you drop it, and you will drop it, it will be horrible to pick up, even if you know how, and you don't want to scratch up a brand new bike. 3. Wear all your gear, not just a helmet and a jacket, but helmet, jacket, pants, gloves and boots. All the time. Yes, it gets hot in the summer, but getting a rock or a bolt to an unprotected shin at 70 miles per hour will hurt for days and might cause you to spill. 4. You're not a competent rider until you have 250 hours of riding under your belt. Until you hit that point, you're novice. Don't take any chances. 5. Ride like you are invisible and every car on the road wants to kill you. Every car on the road can kill you, and most can't see you. Yes, your loud pipes may make you more obvious, but then a driver might get accidentally fixated on you and hit you regardless. As the rider, you are responsible for your safety. For number 5, the one I've always heard is half of the cars can't see you, the other half are actively trying to kill you. Ride accordingly. Art. I know 50 artists who think they were born with natural talent, but they're actually really bad at it. They learned the language and can describe what the piece represents, and it's usually going to be some mumbo jumbo balls they learned in one college art class or some crap they just heard somewhere. but their art is ugly and uninspired. Are delusional artists. Snapping photos. I am not saying that everyone needs to be a trained photographer, but a wide majority of people cannot take a passable picture, not even of their food, pets, or of people sitting still on a couch. Reading out loud. Listening to my classmates struggle to read plays in high school English was painful. It's definitely an undervalued skill. Listening. People think good listening means nodding frequently and putting a bit of MH. That's interesting in there. I'm gonna go with remembering names on this one. The amount of times I hear people say I'm just bad with names. Okay, cool, but work on it. Honestly, I forget names because I don't want to know the person anyway. Being good looking. I've seen so many people point out how someone is attractive because that person has good genetics, or is lucky to be thin, or just is attractive because they are attractive. They have no idea the work that goes into looking good. Many times attractive people are attractive because they are disciplined and work hard at it. While you eat 3 donuts, Cutie McButty is eating a cup of yogurt. Plain yogurt. While you're wrecking noobs online and perfecting your KD ratio, Captain America's at the gym perfecting his Herculean physique. And at the end of all this work and devotion, all they get is, must be nice to have such nice genes. And, you know, all the perks that come with adhering to rules 1 and 2. Also, many good looking people know how to buy clothes that actually fit. My friend had a wealthy, slightly overweight girlfriend, but this girl knew how to buy clothes and she always looked fantastic. With the wrong clothes, she would have looked like people at Walmart. Fighting, especially if it goes to the ground. People think that, since violence is a part of human nature, we instinctively will know what to do in a confrontation. Nope. If you try to frick with someone with some decent training in kickboxing, boxing, judo, wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu or sambo, you're going to have a bad time. To make matters worse, there are a large number of fake martial arts that will never work in a street fight, and practitioners of these imagine they are street fight ready. They're gonna get the crap kicked out of them if they ever go up against a real martial artist. Especially if it goes to the ground. Tell me about it. I've been training a striking system for 5 years, but get me on the ground and I'm just pathetic. It's an entirely different set of skills than stand-up fighting, and while some things translate, a whole lot of things don't. Art. The number of times people have told me that they are just not good at art and wish they could do it is too high. People just assume that you are born with the ability to be good at art, but don't take into account the massive amount of practice that goes into it as well. This relates to dogs, but my boss has had 2 dogs and hasn't ever trained either. They brought their boisterous 4-month-old puppy to a work function and told me he was smarter than their old dog because he knew how to sit. And I realized that they thought dogs learn how to stay, sit and fetch on their own. Taught the dog there and then how to sit and fetch the ball and bring it back in half an hour. They were astonished and the dog loves me now. What the heck? You teach your dog, they don't come with an operating system. Dating skills. Most people are naturally bad or at least unskilled at male-female, or pick your gender of choice, interactions and think that they should just be accepted for who they are instead of improving their behaviors. Most of the time people aren't liked or disliked for their personality, they're liked or disliked because of their behaviors. Strive to be the best version of yourself and you'll attract a quality mate. Painting. When I show people my paintings, they always like to say, I don't have any artistic ability, and I'm like, well, do you practice? No? Then why would you? I could never do that, is the one I get the most. No, you couldn't, because you never have. I take the compliment, it's how it's meant, but it sometimes starts to feel like no one even acknowledges the amount of work and practice that goes into it. Here's one I haven't seen mentioned. Running. Most people really suck at running. They are incredibly inefficient and wind up wasting a ton of energy, increase their risk of injury, and just look dumb as all heck. Telling stories. Most people don't know how to tell stories that are relevant, consistent, compelling, and the correct length. I'm an organized person by nature and rarely procrastinate. It's a little hindering though, to the point where I can be working on a project past the time I usually go to bed. Organization comes down to everything in my life. My room is tidy and neat, and so is my house. I absolutely love clearing old things, and last Saturday I got rid of a bunch of stuff. There's just something in me that loves throwing out old stuff. It almost baffles me how some people can live in cluttered houses. I don't judge or anything, but I once walked into a friend's house and stuff was just everywhere. Clothes all over the floor, rubbish, and washed pots and pans. How can you live in a house where shoots all over the place? I really don't want to come off as an but smarmy though. I'm just organized by nature. I feel as if I've wasted a day if by the end of it, I haven't achieved anything. I can never be the person to be in PJs all day on a lazy Saturday and watch movies. It would drive me insane. I have to do something. A lot of people can't find their way around a hammer, much less other tools. It's not rocket science, they're tools. But watching some people try to work makes my eyes bleed. As a person who works in communications, I can tell you firsthand, public speaking and communication skills. Everyone seems to think, oh, I talk all the time, so how hard can it be? Then they invariably mess it up because they don't practice and take it for granted. Playing an instrument. My students for some reason think they will be amazing after 6 months without ever practicing. They're not. Getting crap done discipline. Both in real life and here on Reddit I hear, or read, from so many people who have important tasks to do, assignments, stuff to read, workout schedules to keep, etc. And their story is, essentially, that they don't bother with it, and want to know the secret of how to get it done. How to get it done. Do it. To get things done, you need to do them. There's no secret sauce. Discipline is like a muscle that has to be exercised and maintained. Fatigue, procrastination and good old general laziness come very naturally. Getting crap done is developed. Cooking. People assume that it just happens when you get older, but that's not the case. I have so many friends that never spent time in the kitchen with their families growing up, and as a result they are only able to make fried eggs. Gay guys giving oral. And the weird thing is, it should come naturally. You have a penis. You should know what does and doesn't feel good. Obviously there's a bit of personal preference regarding different techniques, but the basic mechanics are pretty much universal. If my extensive research into the subject is any indication, I'll never understand how some guys can make receiving a BJ feel like I've just stuck my dong in a blender. The most annoying answer to this that I hear on a daily basis: math. It's not a natural skill. Just freaking try, you lazy piece of crap. Math definitely is a natural skill. Not that people can't learn it, but some people definitely need less guidance than others. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.